Good afternoon, everybody. How are we all today? Here we are again. Back in lockdown for those of you who are in Melbourne. But that's all right because we've got this. We've done it before. We can do it again. And this time, most of the people here today have actually got Thermomixes, which I'm imagining made a lockdown much easier and just life in general. So happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for joining us today. I guess this means you've already done your 1 hour's exercise and you're all ready to sit down and be inspired with some food. So to give you a bit of an idea, we on Friday afternoon, once this announcement was made, we've got a little group chat and we all just went, hey, let's just do something Sunday afternoon, kind of whatever you've got in your pantry right now that you were going to make for dinner anyway. So that menu literally came together with, well, I was going to make this Sunday night or I wanted to make that. So that's sort of how today's menu has come together. It may or may not be things that you're interested in cooking, but we do focus on the fact and we also offer the fact that if there's something particular that you please reach out to your consultant so she can do that just for you. Hopefully that can be face-to-face, but we do the beautiful thing. I'm just going to get some of those people to mute. Everyone, thanks, Jules. So for those of you who are new, you've got a couple of choices here today. At the end of today, you're going to see how amazing the Thermomix is. And if you would like to purchase, please reach out to your consultant and she will send you an order link. If you would like to host your own cooking experience, there are great host rewards for that. And again, please reach out to your consultant and we will be able to arrange for you to do your own cooking experience and earn host rewards that way as well, and cook the things that are very specific to you and your family as well. And our third opportunity today is that we have a lovely team. I love our team. We all actually said last year, you know, we weren't just a Thermomix group, we were a COVID support group, and really being with Thermomix got us through last year relatively unscathed. So we all feel exceptionally grateful for that. So if you're on here today and you're looking for something new in your life, you know, maybe you've recently got a Thermomix and you're thinking you'd like to learn more, come and join us. It's a great way to do that. And you know, you've really got nothing to lose. So we'd love to offer you that opportunity as well. So thank you for those messages of people who were our little groupies from last year. I'm getting some little private messages of missed you and good to see you, and so that was a little distracting there. Thanks, Kerry. But really, we're actually really excited to be back. So I'm not going to be very formal today, but please, if you've got anything you'd like to say, I'm happy for you to take yourself off mute and shout out. Or if you want to just pop something in the chat box, Julie and I will sort of man the chat together in between cooking, so you can pop questions or comments in there, or, you know, variations to recipes or ideas, because this is really a sharing space and you'll learn as much from us as consultants as you will from each other. So we really encourage that. For those who are new to Thermomix, the price is $2269 should you choose to purchase today or anytime soon. We do have different payment options available, and one of them is a 24 months interest-free option, and one of the other most popular ones is to earn the Thermomix. And for the month of February, our purchase gift is our Everyday Cooking for Thermomix Families book and a 2.6 litre thermoserver. So both are fabulous items in the kitchen, and a couple of today's dishes are going to be out of this book as well, just by pure chance, not any planning. So it is a book that I find that I'll be making things and going, oh yeah, it's out of that. One of those was one of the original books that were made for the Thermomix. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip my screen around and just show you the Team 6 for those of you who may not have seen it before. I do know there's a few people on here who are Team 31 and Team TM5 owners. The language of cooking in the Thermomix is the same regardless of what model you own. So the time, temperature, speed language is the same. What you do find with the TM6 is that they have added extra modes. So we do have slow cook mode, we do have a fermentation mode. So we've got sugar mode. So we've got some things that aren't in the other models. So if you're on our Cookidoo platform, which is our global recipe platform, like a Netflix for recipes, and you see those, they are TM6 specific. So if you'd like to sort of understand a bit more about the differences, again, speak directly with your consultant or shout out a question today. So before we go over to our first kitchen presenting, I'm just going to show you. So this is the TM6. So what you'll notice if you've got any of the other models is that this is a very large digital touchscreen here. It's like having a mini iPad built in the front of the Thermomix. So just like any smart device, you might be able to see the dots along the bottom there. So that means I can scroll to see different screens. So when I go to the right there, like you have different apps on your phone, here we've got all of our different modes. And as you can see, this actually, when we first got it, was only one screen over and it had a few spaces, and we've had 5 more modes introduced since the TM6 was launched. So the beauty of the way this operates is that you'll wake up one morning and there'll be new modes added. So I can go through some of those in more detail as we go on, but some that are specific to the TM6 are the egg boiler, the rice cooker, which gives you options for not just plain white rice, but a variety of different rices, the thicken mode, the warm-up mode to reheat food, and then over here, our fermentation, slow cook, and sous vide are all very specific to the TM6. So it's offers you a lot of sort of, I guess, chefy options. For those who can't cook, you can then become quite chefy in the kitchen by using these modes. Now, if I go in the other direction, you can see I've got direct access to Cookidoo directly through the screen of my Thermomix. Now this you can download as an app on your phone or access it through your any device, laptop, desktop, etc. And you can scroll through here and have a look at latest recipes, spotlight of the week, most cooked, all different information. The beauty of this is that it actually looks exactly the same here as it does on your device. So you're not learning 2 different things, you've got the same information. You can access filters through here as well. So if you're putting in dietary requirements, or you open your fridge and go, oh, I've got some sweet potato, or I've got some broccoli, what am I gonna make? You can just pop those things in and voila, you'll get some recipes. As you can see here, there's some little dots here. So if I give those a tap, I can add those to my shopping list, I can bookmark it, or I could cook it today. So you can do all your meal planning and adding things to a shopping list directly through the screen of your TM6. So I'm going to pop that home for a minute, and because you're going to see a lot more of that as we go into each kitchen. But as questions arise, please ask. But what we're going to do first is we're going to pop over to the gorgeous Denise in Mentone, and she is going to make us a keto dish today. So again, within our group, we've got different nationalities, we've got different eating styles. So I think today, with who's presenting and what we're presenting, hopefully we've got something for everyone. So she's going to give you a little bit of information about that. But again, if questions arise, please pop them in the chat and we'll answer them as we go. All right, Denise, over to you.
Thank you, my dear, and welcome everybody, especially on this Valentine's Day. And I just wanted to give you all a little red rose from my garden to your heart, from me to you. And this is actually from my husband, he gave this to me this morning. So happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And I think that a cheesy vegetable bake just oozes love. So I've chosen to cook this today, and an au gratin of any kind with a cheese sauce on any vegetable, I think is just one of the most beautiful things that you can serve up onto a plate. So it's going to be a side dish for us tonight with whatever else we're cooking, which I think is going to be steak. So it's going to be yummy. Alrighty, so welcome everyone, and thank you to I've got a camera woman helping me today, Eliza, my daughter. Thank you very much. So I'm going to take you straight into my week, where I have planned to cook this particular recipe, and here it is: the keto cauliflower and Brussels sprout cheese bake. Now, at first, when I said that I was going to cook this one, I didn't actually have any Brussels sprouts. So being that, I thought, well, no worries, I'll just put in whatever I had, which was going to be broccoli. But it turns out that I did actually end up going and getting Brussels sprouts, because I think this is actually such a lovely way of actually cooking this particular vegetable, which a lot of people don't tend to like very much. So it's actually, if you've never liked Brussels sprouts, it's a really great one to try. Alrighty, so our first step with this particular dish is grating up the cheese. And you'll notice that in a lot of Thermomix recipes, where there is a process or an ingredient in the recipe where we have to grate something or chop something, particularly if it's a dry process, it often comes to the front of the recipe. We do that first so that we have it ready for later after the bowl is already wet. So here we've got a bit more than 100 grams of mozzarella cheese going straight into the bowl. I actually like a lot of cheese in this recipe, so I've got about 120 grams actually. Oh yeah, there you can see it right there. So on with the lid. And next, now we're going into a chopping cycle. So we definitely want our MC on the top. And then we've got 5 seconds at speed 7. Here we go. There we are. Now, for anybody who has ever lost a fingernail in the grater, this is your best friend. Wow, just check that out. It's so amazing. You know, really difficult cheeses to grate, like like mozzarella, which is very, rubbery, and very hard cheeses as well, like Parmesan. It just comes out so beautifully. And here is a little tip for getting the cheese out of your bowl. Sometimes it's actually easier, instead of using a spatula, to use a dry piece of kitchen towel. And it actually comes out a lot more easily than having silicone, which is kind of a spongy material on the bowl. So we don't need to get too detailed with this, because we're actually just going to add water and now do some steaming. So that's cleaning out the bowl with your piece of paper, which is a really lovely little tip I would like to give people. Okay, so we've transferred that, taken that to the side. I'm not going to bother rinsing because I've actually got a really good clean in there, and I do have preheating ready for the bake. Okay, just before we do put the water in there, I just want to show you this selection of baking trays. So I tend to typically use this big, large one for this dish, and it actually really, you can also use 2 smaller ones. So I might do these today. It just depends on how much room you have on your in your fridge for leftovers. This is quite a large serve, and it tends to last me about 3 meals, with 3 of us eating it as a side dish. But if you were doing a party, you might like to have one of these each on each end of the table for serving. So these are your options, and you've got plenty of different styles of dishes, of course, that you could choose from to match your Valentine's Day table. Alrighty, so here we go with 300 grams of water, because our first step is to pre-steam the vegetables lightly before we bake them. Now we're going to pop our Varoma on the top. Now, before I do that, of course, I have to get the lid in place to hold the Varoma. We take off the MC to allow the steam to come through the top into the Varoma vessel, and that is going on first. I'm glad we're using the Varoma today, because it's so often for new owners a part of the Thermomix that they don't explore in the initial stages, and some people can get a bit of FOVO, fear of Varoma. So I always love to highlight how easy it is to steam. So here are the Brussels sprouts. It says to cut them in halves. I like to cut them just a little bit smaller, so I tend to do it into quarters, and they populate the bottom part of the Varoma. There we go. And it's important just with Varoma usage, because we're talking about steam and it is a direct heating mechanism, we need to actually have steam coming into the Varoma. So we need to make sure that some of these little holes here are actually not covered, all right? So push things to the side for really great Varoma cooking. Now it's asking us to insert the tray, step by step, follow the bouncy ball, as Michelle loves to say, so easy. And then onto the top goes the cauliflower. So this is around about 500 grams of cauliflower. And we're just going to spread that all. And in fact, if you have a little bit more, you can just really put however much of any ingredient you like in this. You can add some down to the bottom if you don't have enough room. So we want them to lay relatively flat like that, and then secure the Varoma lid. It's just like piling it up like Lego. And we just got a steaming function, which are one on this one, and it stops automatically at the correct speed. So it just couldn't be simpler. And there's stage 1 of the cheesy cauliflower and Brussels sprouts bake. I'll see you back for the next stage later.
Thanks, Dee. That's awesome. We're going to head over to the gorgeous Milan now, who is going to do a vegetarian chili for us.
Absolutely. Hello, everybody, and a very happy Valentine's Day. I hope you have had a good one in this lockdown. And today we are going to make, I'm vegetarian, so we're going to make a vegetarian chili. I have never made this recipe before, but Michelle tells me it's absolutely yum. So we're going to test it out today. So without wasting any more of the precious time that we have, let's go into cooking. As you can see over here, this is my week. So the first recipe is vegetarian chili, the second is guacamole, and the third is Persian love cake. I have already made the guacamole this morning, and I intend to make the Persian love cake after I have finished this presentation. So off to the vegetarian chili. Very, very simple recipe. What we're going to do now is we're going to do some dry roasting, And to do that, we do start cooking. So what I've done with Thermomix and cooking here, I would suggest to have all your ingredients ready before you get started. So it says to put half a cinnamon quill. So I get my cinnamon quill there, put it in. Next is half teaspoons of peppercorns. There we go. Okay. Next, we have got 1 teaspoon of coriander seed, and these are home harvested coriander seeds from our garden. And then my favorite ingredient after garlic, of course, is cumin seeds, which we call jeera in Indian language, Hindi. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to insert the measuring cup and put the lid on, which is like so. What we're going to be doing now is dry roasting. So we're going to be, for 2 minutes, we're going to be dry roasting. And after it's dry roasted, what we're going to do is I'm going to cool it down and grind the powder. So it's going to be ground into a powder. So Michelle, do you want me to go ahead with this, or you want to quickly?
Yeah, so you can get that started. And then have you got, because what we're doing is not doubling up on functions today. So if you just show that what you're going to do off camera is grind that, and also the vegetables that you've got ready to chop.
Okay, beautiful. So what I will quickly show you in that case is the vegetables I have ready to chop. In that case, what I have, so after I have ground this into a powder and ground roasted it, we're going to be putting these vegetables in there. The recipe asks for the carrot as well as capsicum, but Michelle tells me zucchini goes very well, so that's straight off our garden. So we decided to actually, so they're that chunky pieces. And when we come back, I'll show you how small and tiny they have actually chopped, because the chopping function in the Thermomix is absolutely amazing. And it's going to chop all these into a very, very, very small chopped pieces in there. So I will go into dry roasting my spices now and organize the spice mix. And the good thing about this spice mix is you can quadruple the recipe or double the recipe, so that next time you're using it and doing the recipe, it shortens your cooking time, because you can actually make this spice mix beforehand and you can cut out on all these steps and get straight into cooking the vegetarian chili. So I'm going to be gone with roasting, dry roasting, and making the powder, while you guys get on to my favorite thing in the world, which is the Portuguese tarts by Julie.
It is indeed. Thanks, Milan. We'll see you again soon. Hello, Julie.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Julie, and I'm going to be making the Portuguese custard tart. So I made these probably, I think, near Christmas time, and they were so delicious. So they're also really, really easy. I couldn't believe how easy they were. So everyone doesn't believe me, but I wanted to show you just how easy it can be today. Hi, Greg. So first of all, I've got the recipe. I might bring you a little bit closer so we can see the screen a little bit. Okay. All right. So first, we're going to click on Start Cooking. Now, I've preheated the oven already. Next, and now I've already greased a muffin tray as well. It's going to ask me to put half a lemon zest. What I normally do is whenever I'm juicing my lemons, I actually peel my lemons, and if you have a dehydrate, you can dry it, but otherwise I just freeze them, and when I've got enough, I mill them so it's into powder, so I just keep it in the freezer. So just pop that all in.
That's a great tip, Julie.
Yeah, so it, I love lemons, so I love that smell, so I like to add it into a lot of my cooking as well. Now, 120 grams of white sugar. Next, 2 tablespoons of corn flour. Okay, and then you'll insert it into the mixing bowl and put the lid on. Next, and now for 20 seconds, we're just going to quickly grind everything. Okay, so next, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like. There you go. And that smells really nice. I can smell that nice citrus, the zest in through there. So I just ask you to scrape the bottom I've scraped the sides of the bowl, so I'll just do that. And I think after today, when you see how easy this is done, I'm pretty sure we probably want to quickly make it. Next, 1 egg, okay, and 2 egg yolks. So I've already got that prepared. Next, 400 grams of full cream milk. Also prepared that. Next, okay, I'll put the lid on and oops, just did a 360 there. So basically what that's going to do now is it's going to cook the custard for 7 minutes at 90 degrees. And after it's cooked, it just asks me to put 2 teaspoons of vanilla essence through it. So I'll get cooking and I guess you can come back to me when we start making the pastry.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Julie. We're going to head over to the lovely Olivia now. Where are you, Olivia? 2 seconds, everybody. Oh, here we go. Got you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to my mother-in-law's kitchen in Rosebud, where we were on holiday down here and we've got lockdown down here. So that's not too bad. But fortunately, I did bring my Thermomix with us on holiday too, so I can still cook with it and show you guys today the creamy tomato and salami fettuccine. So as you'll see, I'm just going to go into my weekly planner on the screen and I can select the recipe that I'm going to cook today. Similar to Denise when she was cooking, the first step of this is actually to grate some Parmesan. So I've done that already and I'll just show you how finely the Parmesan, chunk of Parmesan's come out grated after 10 seconds in the Thermomix. And because I've done that, I can skip straight to step 2 of this recipe just by selecting that. And so now it's going to ask me to add in half a brown onion. I actually had quite a small onion, so I'm going to put in the whole lot. And click next. 1 garlic clove. Click next. So for those who haven't seen a Thermomix before, it's as easy as literally following step by step. It's asking me to add in some parsley. And then it's saying pop the measuring cup into the lid. So that's the measuring cup for those who haven't seen it before. Pops into the lid there. Top, next, and it's going to chop that for 3 seconds. So that's 3 seconds of chopping the onion, garlic, and parsley in the Thermomix. No more frying eyes. And it asks me to scrape it down, so it's telling me exactly what to do. Scrape down the sides. Next, pop in some red capsicum or red pepper if you're English like me. Yep. And then 100 grams of zucchini, just chopped into pieces.
You can see that Olivia hasn't over-prepared anything either. Like they're quite big chunks you can put in.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, pop the measuring cup on the lid. And again, it's going to chop for 3 seconds at speed 5.
So the key is to let the Thermomix do the work for you with things like this.
This is a favorite in our household. I've got 2 very young kids, and this is a great one for getting some hidden veggies into a dish. So that's 3 seconds of chopping up that capsicum and zucchini to join the onion, garlic, and parsley. So super quick and easy to do lots of chopping, especially when you've got little kids hanging around your legs. So now it's just going to ask me to add in some olive oil. For those that haven't seen it, I'll just show you the scales which are built into the Thermomix, and they increase by 1 gram increments. So you can see that moving up as I add in the olive oil. Next, pop the lid back on. And now that's going to saute all of those veggies for 3 minutes. When that's finished, I'm going to pan over now because someone will bark, but I'm going to, once that's finished sauteing those veggies, I'm just going to chuck in some tomatoes, which are actually from my crop from the garden back in East Bentley. So that's helping to use up some of those. There's also going to go in some water, some cream, and a tablespoon of this vegetable stock paste, which is actually the first thing I made in the Thermomix when I've got it. And now you have this on stock in the fridge, and no need to buy any stock cubes or anything else. Just use a tablespoon of this in recipes. So once that's sauteed, I'll add the other ingredients in, and then it's going to cook the sauce for about 10 minutes. So I'll hand over to someone else whilst I do that. Going back to you, Michelle.
Mute myself. Thank you for that. That's awesome. So you have now got that all happening. So rather than sort of go back and see sauteed onions, I know most of you with Thermomixes have seen sauteed onions before, but we're going to go back to Olivia when it's time for her to pop the pasta in, because I'll probably give me a bit of a hands up, who's ever cooked fettuccine in your Thermomix? So that's what we love about this dish in particular, is it's a one pot dish. You make your sauce and then you add your pasta in, and your sauce actually cooks your pasta. So yeah, that's very cool. So what I'm doing today is I've got two dishes, and I've done a lot of stuff in advance just from a time perspective as well, but I have got a Thai beef salad, which did coincidentally come from this book. So I've pre-marinated my meat, and again, as Denise mentioned, a lot of people have the varoma, but it's that thing that sits in the cupboard and can gather cobwebs, and we don't want that. We want you to use your varoma because it just gives you so much more that you can do with your Thermomix. So here is my varoma, and here is my pre-marinated meat, and I haven't put it in the tray yet because I wanted to just show you what's happening here. So what it asks you to do is line the tray with some baking paper, and to wet the baking paper. So you basically wet it and then just sort of wring it out, and that actually helps the steam go up through the paper and steam the whatever's on top, generally marinated meat. So what I've got here is some eye fillet steak, and I've already marinated that. So that's been sitting in the fridge marinating for a little while, and I'm going to pop that on the tray. Now, the recipe, I think, said about 450 grams. I've done about 700 here. So what you often find, I'm just going to tilt my camera down so you can see what's happening here. What you often find with these things is that these recipes are guided recipes. So what that means is you're in control. So when you're in control of the recipe, if you want to add a bit more for your family, then absolutely do that. What I might need to do is cook it a little bit longer than the recipe says. So I'll just obviously keep an eye on that. But the fact that it's eye fillet, I don't want to actually overcook that anyway. So I'm going to sit that to the side for a minute, because the other thing that I've got in the background here is I did make a Persian love cake today. In light of Valentine's Day, I'm just going to grab it. Now it's been sitting here cooling in the tin, and I'm going to whip it out. So I've got a little dish here. So this is one of those recipes that I have seen other people make, I've heard of, it sounds delicious, I've read it, and I just never made it. And I actually looked on Friday and went, I've actually got all those ingredients. So this cake has got almond meal and a pistachio meal through it, a little bit of flour, lots of eggs, and some beautiful cardamom and rose water. So I'm just going to gently lift that off there and pop it onto there. Now, I talked about the pre-cut paper that I've used on the, I could take it out, but I'm just going to tuck it under instead. The pre-cut paper that I've used on the varoma. In our mixed shop, you can also buy pre-cut paper for the 20 centimetre and the 23 centimetre cake tins. So before I steam my beef, I'm actually just going to quickly make the cream cheese frosting. So it's actually supposed to be mascarpone, so I don't have mascarpone on hand, but I did have cream cheese, so I'm going to use cream cheese, and if it needs to be a little bit softer, I'm just going to add a little bit of cream, which I googled, what can I substitute? Some people said straight out substitute just mascarpone cream cheese, some said add a bit of cream. So I've got both on hand, but this is a really simple frosting. So I'm going to bring you to my Thermomix, and I was in this recipe before, so I can actually go to recently cooked and pull up my Persian love cake there. Now it's asking me, because it's pretty clever, it knows I didn't finish the recipe. Do I want to resume or restart? And I can actually say resume, because that's where, oh, actually it's taken me to the end because I had gone through to have a look at the ingredients. So I can go here, recipe detail, scroll down and go to where, and I'd made a syrup. So once the cake was made, there was just a lemon juice and sugar syrup that got poured on the top. So this is the icing. So I can just go straight to step 12. So I don't have to scroll through the whole recipe to get that. So you see that I took my lid off. Now this measuring cup, you'll see for the TM6 clips in there. So if you've got a TM5 and you've got a measuring cup that flies across your kitchen, you can grab one of these from the mix shop. But I'm just going to tear my scales and add in my cream cheese here, which I had pre-weighed, so that's pretty good. Bit of icing sugar. Now, you can grind your own icing sugar. So for those who are new to Thermomix, that's one of our magic tricks we do in our demonstrations when we make our fruity dream. And then the next ingredient here, and this is like the sweetest ingredient. I had actually not used this before until I started doing sort of Indian cooking a couple of years ago. And it's actually a rosewater essence. It smells absolutely amazing. Although the kids did discover today, you don't just drink it straight. It's like drinking pure alcohol, but it's not alcohol, but vanilla essence or something. But so I just got that at the supermarket. It said half a teaspoon. I actually just put in a third because I found it quite overpowering before. And it just wants me to insert the measuring cup, do a 15 seconds on speed 4. Now I'd had that cream cheese out for a little while, so it was at room temperature. So I may not need to add the cream. No, that's looking pretty good actually. So now I'm just going to show you what that looks like. It's absolutely beautiful. So the other thing that's lovely about this recipe is that it creams the butter and sugar. And that's something where bakers sort of say when they're asking about a Thermomix, can it cream butter and sugar? And the answer is yes, it can. So now it just says without the measuring cup. And to just do it for a few seconds until it, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. And go to speed 3. And it just actually says, without the measuring cup, just have a look through the top and just until it's whipped quite nicely. To be quite honest, the fact that it was at room temperature, I think it was whipped pretty nicely just after the 15 seconds. So when you want to stop it, you just press the big silver button there, and that's what we call a quick stop. So you can do that at any time. And what you'll find is that you can really cook with your ears with the Thermomix. So I'm going to take the butterfly out there and just show you what that looks like. That's perfect. You can see the beautiful, oh, hang on, there we go. You can see the beautiful consistency of that there. So I'm going to make that look pretty in a few minutes for you, but I want to show you a little tip about not wasting anything there. So you can see that I've still got some on the blades there. So one of my favourite modes, and regardless of which Thermomix model you have the turbo mode. Just going to pop that lid on, go home, go over here and just quickly do a quick 1 second turbo. Okay, and what that's going to do is flick everything off or what that's done in that 1 second is flick everything off the blades. So now you can see that I can scrape that out and I'm not going to have any waste. So I'm going to do that off camera and just pop my beef on. And that way, when you come back to me, I will have a beautifully decorated cake and my dinner almost ready. So popping that up there. So I'm going to go out of this recipe and go into my other recently cooked recipe, which is my beef. I want to resume my recipe. Yes. And I'm going to go into, so as I mentioned before, so when you're in the middle of a recipe, you can go into what we call recipe detail. And it means that you don't have to scroll through the whole recipe, but it also means that halfway through a recipe, you can go, right, what do I need next? So you can be going through here and be going, right, this is the step that I'm up to. So I've made my marinade. I've obviously had that marinating in the fridge. Needed to add the water. I actually did that before. So there's 500 grams of water in there. And place the varoma in position, which as Denise showed you, it just sits beautifully on top of the lid there. And the first cook here is 6 minutes. So I'm going to turn that on. Now it says speed 1. I normally steam on about speed 2. So I just find that it just pushes the steam up a bit quicker. So yeah, have a look at that. That's something that we as consultants often suggest that we do. So now I haven't got the run sheet in front of me now. So who's after me now, Jules? Because we'll go to
Denise now.
Beautiful. Back to Denise. Perfect.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. So the steaming has happened, and once you've steamed in the varoma, it's full of hot steam and droplets of condensed water on the lid. So the way to handle your varoma is to open it away from you. This is safety 201 with varoma, away from you, and then let all of those droplets of steam drop back down into the varoma over there so that they haven't dropped onto your Thermomix, onto the counter, or importantly, onto you or your loved ones. So we're going to pop that down and then take off the various bits and pieces. So if I just go forward with the next instruction, I know what's happening, but you may be cooking this for the first time. So we want to try all of the ingredients. So the first bit I'm going to take off, of course, is the cauliflower. So I'm going to get rid of as much excess water as I can, because I don't want that in my bake. That will make the sauce a bit runny. So I'm going to take that off and straight into my baking tray. My baking dish, I should say. There we go. There's that one. And then the next one as well. So here are the Brussels sprouts. I'm going to give, again, a bit of a shake to get rid of the extra droplets of water, and then join its friends in the baking tray. Now, at this point, you could divide it as well into 2 different trays if you wanted to. Okay, now this wants me to discard the water because we're going to move from a steaming cycle into a sauce making cycle. So there's that bit, and I can just pour that out. I'm going to put that straight into just a bowl because I'm on the other side of my kitchen bench to where the sink is. Okay, so just give that a little quick wipe out, but we don't really have to do anything with that. And because this bowl is actually quite hot, it's going to help us melt the cheese as we go into the next step. So this is asking for garlic cloves. I'm cheekily adding 1 extra, 1, 2, and 3. In they go. And we're going to give them a chop on their own. Don't you just love how the Thermomix just goes from step to step, just so easily, no change of blades, anything like that. Next, and here we go, 5 seconds of garlic chopping. Okay, now you may have noticed that it took the Thermomix some time to actually rise up to its speed 7, and that's because the bowl is still hot. So if I put this on here, see how we go to a red light? That means our bowl is above 60 degrees. You can see here it's actually 70. So even though it took time to get up to speed 7, the timer didn't start counting down until it was near speed 7. So you still actually get your full chopping time. And that is just magical. I just love seeing that every single time. I never get sick of seeing chopped garlic. How long would it take me to actually chop that? So much longer. Okay, so now we're up to adding the cream cheese. Because we're going to melt everything into the bottom of the bowl, I just want to scrape that garlic down to the bottom, have it just more so down in that lower half, and then add the cream cheese. Now, because I've removed the lid and taken the bowl in and out, I'm going to tear back to 0. There we go. But in typical fashion, I'm actually using a little bit extra cream cheese than 150. So I've got a little bit more veg in there than, oh, this is actually quite a bit more. I won't add all of them, but I've got more veg there than the recipe says. Okay, and then we want to add, it's such a simple sauce to make, really just 3 or 4 main ingredients. So the whipping cream, I'm going to put 200 of this in. Yum, is anyone salivating over the thought of eating cream cheese and cream together? And then some salted butter, around about 20 grams, or I might put 20 or 30 because I've got a bit of extra. Here we go. There we go. such a relaxed recipe, as so many of them are. Pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper. Everything is really adaptable with Thermomix, really adaptable. Salt and pepper going in. Okay, and then on back with the lid and the MC. And then we've got some melting time. So we've got 2.5 minutes here. So because this is a keto-based recipe, we're actually making that cheesy love sauce, if you like, with just without the gluten-y part of the recipe, without the flour base, which also makes it keto. So we don't have that thickening, but we have the beautiful the cream and the cheese, and we have the mozzarella at the end, which is going to give it a bit more body to it. So before I actually embarked very much on a keto lifestyle, or a semi-keto lifestyle, I should say, I used to wonder why, when some people would say to me, oh, I just make a lasagna just with putting mozzarella cheese in it instead of actually making a cheese sauce. So having discovered keto, it's just so easy. If you don't actually want to go to the trouble of making a sauce, not that it's a trouble with the Thermomix anyway, but just that bit of extra time, it's super easy to just melt cheese and add a bit of cream and some garlic or other flavorings, even if you had garlic powder. So now that we've got about a minute to get that going, I thought I would just share with you, because we were talking about using the Varoma, just a little bit of extra things that you can do with your Varoma in an effort to get over your fear of using it, and to add a little bit of extra, zing to your life around using your Thermomix, and particularly cooking in layers, which is one of the most powerful things that you can do when you're a Thermomix owner. And I do remember speaking to an old owner a couple of years ago who'd had her Thermomix for many years. And I said, so do you use your Varoma? And she said, oh, my Thermomix never came with one of those things. And I said, well, they've always shipped with a Varoma. No, mine did not come with one of those. Absolutely not. But actually, it just was in the back of a cupboard and had been there for about 8 years. So she never knew that it was part of her set. So some of the other really magical things you can do with your Varoma is steaming things that actually fill the whole base of your Varoma. So this is called a trivet, and you can get it in the mix shop, and it means that whatever you're putting in the Varoma is going to stand up off the bottom and allow all the steam to come into the vessel, even though what it is would normally cover all of these holes. So something like steaming a cheesecake. So you can fit a whole bowl in here, a whole cake tin as an example. And I'm sure that people can put into the chat some of the other things that they use their trivet for. You can certainly put a piece of meat or a piece of fish across there as well. Oh, we're already finished. Some of the other wonderful things you can do with them are use your Varoma for steaming cakes and puddings, and we use these particular molds which fit exactly in there. And also there's this beautiful what do you call it, plate, steamer tray that fits exactly onto the top. And thank you. Gosh, what is the name of that thing? Guess that thing. It's the name of the game.
Sunday afternoon.
All righty. So here we are, back to the excitement of the cheese sauce. Oh my gosh. Like, if that doesn't spell, love in a bowl, I don't know what does. Now, there's a few little bits of extra in there, but they are going to melt as we go through the cooking process. So this is asking me to pour it all over my veg. So I just want to make sure here that I've got these nicely mixed, which they are. Beautiful. And then I'm going to pour over the top this gorgeous sauce. It's just so simple, really. You don't have to go to a lot of trouble to make a dish that is so yummy. It's something like, learned after many years of simplest to make, have the most wow on the palate. Alrighty, so there we go. There's that. And then we're going to add back all of our beautiful mozzarella that we put through the grating process before. Is anyone else having a cheese migraine at the moment? I don't think there's any such thing, but I just adore anything with lots of cheese in it. There we go. Cheese on top. Beautiful. And then that simply goes into the oven for 20 minutes of baking. So I'm going to walk around, pop it into my oven, and then I'll come back and see you in 20 minutes or at the end of our cooking class. Okay, over to you guys.
Perfect, Denise. Thank you so much. That actually does look amazingly delicious. So we're going to pop over to the lovely Julie and get the next chapter of these delicious Portuguese tarts.
That's right. So while everyone was presenting, I actually did a pre-clean, because why not? So I was pre-cleaning while, everyone else was presenting. So what we're up to is, okay, I've already poured. I actually pour my mixture normally into the cake pan. It does get quite hot, so just be careful. And also to pour it, I also use my jam lid, which, funny enough, I've actually never used it for jam. I've always used it for my sauces and everything. So very handy. So we're up to here. It'll ask us to cut the puff pastry. So I've got my puff pastry right here. Just angle it down so hopefully you can see it. So actually starting at the short end, roll the pastry tightly into a log. Now, sometimes I find it a little confusing, the instructions, but I've actually found the easiest way is I just get a knife, I cut it in half again, then cut it into 3. So no rolling, but I find it a lot easier. Okay, just make sure when you're cutting, you don't cut on your silicone mats because you can cut it, okay? So now it's just going to ask me to lightly, I'm just going to lightly put some flour on here just so it doesn't stick, okay? All right, so I've got some flour here. Just go like that, lightly dust it. And then I just peel off one of these rectangles, dust it a little bit, and then I just roll it just to flatten it a little bit, just to make it a lot thinner. Because we want that nice thin kind of texture. We don't want it to be like we're eating like the sausage roll or something. So there you can see it's a lot thinner than when we peel it off. So what we do is, I'll show you how we do this. So restricted to my little space here. So I've actually pre-done some already, but here we go. So I'll show you what I do. I basically just grab it, kind of fold it in like so. And I just squeeze, push it so it's kind of around the tin. Okay, I'll just show you like that. Okay, so I might just quickly do another one to show you. Okay, so I just kind of powder it a little bit, roll it on one side, roll it on the other side. Oops. And then kind of squeeze it just so that we've got no gaps when we're popping it on the tin. Okay, so once we've done that, we're ready to pretty much fill all of this. So, okay, so then all you do is, oops, I don't think you can see that. There we go.
Yeah, that's perfect, Julie.
Is that better?
Perfect. Okay,
so then you just squeeze it in. And the great thing about this is you don't have to wait for the custard to cool down or anything. So it's actually a pretty quick dessert. So just squeeze it in there.
Well, your pastry tip's fantastic, because the other way did sound a bit complicated. So just being able to do that.
Exactly. So I don't like things being complicated. So I like it easy is the best way. And then you've got all these loose ends, and don't cut them off. Just kind of tuck it in neatly there, just so it rolls in. And who doesn't like that rustic look?
Yeah, I can actually vouch for the fact that I have eaten Julie's Portuguese custard tarts many times, and they are delicious.
Yeah, and that's so simple. Like I like, it's when I say it's a really quick kind of thing to make when I'm going out somewhere. Yeah, it's really, really quick. So I just kind of roll it like so, just to kind of get it around the tarts, and then it will ask me to pop it in the oven for 20 minutes. So I'll pop that in the oven and I'll come back to you soon.
Perfect. They look so amazing. I really must make them. And now we're going to pop back to the gorgeous Milan to show you her spice mix and her chopped veggies and her vegetarian chili, the next stage. Thanks, Milan.
Thank you, guys. I had to, because my sauteed onion had happened already. So what I started doing was I actually started doing the next step. What I had done was I chopped the vegetables, quite very, very minute they were. They were only for a few seconds. And then I put the kidney beans, the cannellini beans, and the chickpeas all inside my thermoserver because I was just keeping an eye out for the time. And right now it's actually cooking. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. That's what it looks like. And all that is beautifully chopped vegetables that went in there. So I put the tomato paste, the vegetables, the chopped vegetable, the spice mix, everything in it. Because I was just keeping an eye out for the time and I'm thinking I won't be able to finish in time. So everything is in it, guys. It's in here for 20 minutes. I've only got another 10 minutes to go to have it all ready. So yeah, so I sauteed the onions, put the garlic, put the onions, put all the vegetables, all the beans, salt, pepper, chilies, and for 20 minutes just put it away. And this is what's come out of it. So let's see what happens. Let's see if Michelle's right about this recipe being a good one. So
it's definitely a favorite in our house. So I'd be very surprised if you don't like it. The thing I love about it is it's a fantastic one-pot dish.
Yeah.
The canned beans and things you can always have in your pantry. And I almost always have a zucchini, capsicum, and a carrot in my fridge. So, or some sort of combination of those veggies, because you can really use any veggies. So, so we look forward to seeing it finished at the end. And we will now then pop over to the gorgeous Yolaine, who is going to show. There she is. Thanks, Julie. You're quick. Introduce her dish.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me fine?
Perfect.
Yeah, I just got caught. I was watching the cooking class on my laptop and I was just like, oh, it's my turn. So hi, everyone, and happy Valentine's Day. And my Thermomix went to sleep, so I'm going to put it on. Today, I'm going to present, we can see my lovely daughter made this beautiful sign. And I don't think it's, can you see it right? Yeah, capsicum and
the right way.
Capsicum and sun-dried tomatoes dip, which is definitely a huge favorite of ours. And it is extremely quick. So if you blink, you might miss it. Probably take only not even a minute. So I won't keep you too long. The reason why we love this dip is, one, it's super delicious. So you can just go and go and go and go with it. But it's also really versatile. So you can use it on pizzas. We love to use it in pastas because it is basically a red pesto, essentially. So it is wonderful in pastas, and it freezes really well. So often that makes quite a big quantity. You can half it, even with a small quantity, it will make it nice and perfect consistency. But if you have too much, I put it in ice cube trays, like the large square one, or you can put it in little containers and just freeze it and just use it as you would pesto. So without further ado, I will take you into my screen, and I might need to move around my kitchen bench. I haven't done that in a while. Okay, so because it is something that we do a lot, I could have it in my week, but I'm sure that if we're going to recently cooked recipes, and that's my baby in the background, it's actually number one because I made it yesterday for a grazing box for my business. So yeah, it is that good that I actually use it for my own business as well. So we're going to restart it and start cooking. I know you've seen the Parmesan already today, but this one, so we're going to put the Parmesan in, and then the next ingredient is a garlic clove, and this is all going to get blitzed together. So for 10 seconds on speed 9. And we have our grated Parmesan. Now, the grated Parmesan is something that is always impressive. I once sold a Thermomix to a very reluctant Italian husband, just based on the grated Parmesan. So I knew I was in the right business from that day. So now we want 100 grams of sun-dried tomatoes. In they go. Half a red capsicum. In goes. 120 grams of raw unsalted cashews. For this recipe, I really like to use the roasted salted cashews, actually, personally, because I find that the saltiness in them is really lovely. So up to you. You can use the raw, but it works really well with the roasted salted one as well. And then 20 grams of olive oil. There we go. And then 10 grams of white vinegar. I don't have white, I have apple cider. So that will do as well. And then I like to add, personally, I find that it actually makes it even better than what it is, a bit of cracked pepper. So you can add that at that stage. And another thing that I really like adding to this dip is ground paprika, just probably, you know, half a teaspoon worth of it. Again, goes really well with it. And it's red too, so it matches with the theme. Okay, so what happened here is that the next step is actually a turbo. So with the Thermomix, the turbo will automatically lock in the arms, and it's a safety measure because it's such a high speed. So because I didn't have my lid on, the Thermomix wouldn't want to work. So now this is the turbo mode. We have a 1 second turbo and turn speed selector 5 to 7 times until desired consistency is achieved. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's it. Then we just serve it immediately. Here it is. So it will look a lot better once it's in the bowl, but that's our dip, and that's how long it took. There we go.
That's amazing, Yolaine. Are you going to plate that, and we'll come back to you when it's plated?
Absolutely.
Lovely. Because what we'll do is go back to the gorgeous Olivia, because she is waiting very patiently to add the pasta to her dish.
Hi again. So since you saw me last, you saw the chopped veggies which was sauteing, and I'll just show you here. We added in the tomatoes, some water and some cream and some of the veggie stock paste, and that cooked for 10 minutes. Another favorite thing about this recipe and the Thermomix in general is that's cooking away for 10 minutes. I can go off and do something else. In this case, I tied up kitchen, my kids are out, so I didn't actually have to run around after them. But when you're cooking dinner or getting a meal ready, it's really handy to be able to just leave the Thermomix cooking. You don't need to worry about a pot on the stove, anything like that. The next step is to add in some pasta. So this is fettuccine. It tells you just to break fettuccine in half and add 250 to 300 grams of fettuccine. You can also, if you don't have fettuccine, so it literally just goes into the pot like that. Couldn't be easier. You could also use penne, works quite well with this. You haven't got any fettuccine or whatever pasta you want, really. Next, it's add in some. So I've also done this. You can very easily do it vegetarian, just leave out this ingredient and it still tastes delicious. Next, and then it just tells me to make sure I've mixed that up so that all of the pasta and chorizo is covered by the sauce. And then I'm going to pop the lid back on, and it's going to cook the pasta in the sauce for 7 minutes. So again, I've got 7 minutes on my hands where I can go and do anything else that I need to do without having to worry about cooking the meal. And at the end of it, we'll have one pot to wash up. That's another great part of this dish and Thermomix, which saves a lot of dishes. So all of this meal is cooked in one pot. So I think we'll come back to me when that's cooked in 7 minutes.
Thanks so much, Olivia. It's actually a family favourite. I think it was one of the first dishes I ever made in my TM31 many years ago, 8 years ago now. So it's definitely a delicious dish. Some of my little hacks on that, as you saw, Olivia had beautiful Roma tomatoes from her garden. But in the off season, or if you don't have Olivia's garden, you can just use a can of tomatoes as well. So that is just to, you know, if you've got that's something you can kind of always have on hand as a hack there. Adding different vegetables if you don't have the ones that are in the recipe. And if you're cooking for a crowd, a great tip on that recipe is to actually double the sauce, and then actually you can cook a bigger quantity of pasta on the stove. So there's lots of things you can do, and particularly that actually works well if you've got gluten-free people coming, because you can have regular pasta and gluten-free pasta and then just a big pot of sauce ready to go. So and as Olivia mentioned, it can be vegetarian, or you could use chicken instead of salami, so you can really play with that, but the flavors of the base of that sauce are really delicious. So my beef is actually cooked, so I'm going to just show you here. I'm going to use the base. I'll give you a little tip. The base of your thermoserver, you can lift your Varoma down onto that so you don't drip all over the bench. And there's my cooked beef. And it does actually say to transfer to a thermoserver. And I do actually have here the oval thermoserver. So I do find that's the easiest one to transfer from the oval, from the Varoma to the oval thermoserver. So I'm actually just going to pull that in like that. There we go. Well, that went well. It could have gone either way. These things are not pre-recorded. So I'm going to pop that aside, throw my hands up and put that aside for the minute. Now, in the meantime, I have also, I popped the cream cheese on the love cake, but I wanted to show you the other thing, because I have bought these for the first time yesterday. So a bit like saying about the rose essence, these are the edible rose petals. So I just got these at the market when I went to the market yesterday morning. And as part of the recipe, you do chop up some pistachios at the start. So I'm just going to rinse my hands because I feel a bit beefy after pouring that in, and no one wants, we don't want beef on our Persian love cake. And now just going to pop the camera back to the cake, do a little bit of sprinkling of these. It looks so pretty. One of my daughters walked in a minute ago. They always check if I'm on mute, and then they launch into, Mum, and then she's like, can I eat that? It's like, not yet. You need to wait a few more minutes. So there's that. And then I'm just going to do exactly the same here with a few of these, just to add a bit of beautiful colour there. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I am not a baker. So I just want to say that I'm looking at this right now, and I kind of want to give myself a little pat on the back because it looks amazing, and I am going to cut into it while you are here too. But what I also wanted to show you was that with the salad, the Thai beef salad, so the rest of the recipe, it said to chop some cabbage. So we made a dressing. And then straight after making the dressing, very clever, you then chop the cabbage in the bowl. So that dressing went through that. I'm not going to dress it all now because we're not eating straight away, but I will plate up some just so you can see. But what I could do, if we were eating it straight away, what I would actually do is actually put the dressing on, put the beef on the top, and just sort of toss it all together. So I'll do an individual plate so you can see what it looks like. And, you know, we love doing a live taste testing as well. But you can see, and this dressing here is sort of fish and soy and garlic and ginger. And so there's really lemon juice. I think it was supposed to be lime juice, but I only had lemon. So again, run with what you've got. There's lots of things you can substitute. So again, either reach out to your consultant or, you know, Google it. Google's our friend with that sort of stuff as well. So I'm going to plate that up in a moment, but I think some of the other girls might be ready to show us some food. So let's go around. Now this is where we, in our run sheet, because of course, you know, this hasn't been planned for weeks. This has been planned overnight. In our run sheet, we kind of said at the end, we'll just be a little bit organic and just, you know, shout out who's got their dish ready to present. But is there anything that anyone's seen today that's wowed you or that you're thinking you're going to make this now? Because one of the things we found previously when we did these cooking experiences online is that we went, oh, people won't really like it because they can't taste the food. But actually, we kind of thought about it and went, you know what? One of the most popular shows on TV, or type of shows on TV, are cooking shows. And what we found is that when we started doing these last year, people were then sending us messages saying, I made that Thai based salad, or I made those enchiladas, or, you know, whatever it was. And they were really excited by seeing us make it and then going and making it themselves. So ultimately, you did get to taste the food because you made it yourself. And the beautiful thing about the Thermomix is the consistency. So yours will taste the same as mine did, or does. So yeah, it's all pretty exciting. It's a pretty exciting way for us to operate. And the other thing is that going forward, people are busy, you know, so we can give people choice. So from a business model now, our business model is that if you are not someone, you know, we previously went, well, if you can't drive, you can't be a Thermomix consultant because you can't drive to people's homes. You don't need to do that now. You could actually have a completely online business from home and do everything via Zoom, and that suits a lot of people. So it's really about giving our customers choice and giving our consultants choice. So as you saw, Olivia stranded on holiday, but had a team 6 because none of us go on holidays without it. So it means we can work from anywhere, which is pretty cool too, because we don't see this as work. My family are waiting in the wings, and I've got a delicious Valentine's dinner planned for them tonight. So yeah, so it's all pretty exciting at this end. Now, girls, take yourself off mute and shout out who's ready to go to whose kitchen first.
You can come to the Keysborough kitchen with Milan.
Lovely, Milan, beautiful. Here we go.
Okay, you ready for the big reveal?
We certainly are.
That's what it looks like. And it is delicious. The vegetarian chili, so easy to make in 20 minutes. That is unbelievable. What I also have is 3 more things. The first one is a mayonnaise my neighbor made a couple of days ago in the Thermomix. We've also made the guacamole in the Thermomix, and this is the same mayonnaise with a bit of chilies in there. So this is our platter for tonight, which we are going to serve it with our chips. And what you see, this green thing in here is something Michelle introduced me to. It's actually a mint lemonade. So it's an amazing, if you guys haven't, made this, worth making this mint lemonade. Absolutely delicious. So this is the chili made in 30 minutes, I think it was, 30 minutes. This is the mayonnaise, or like a sour cream to go with it, guacamole, the chili mayonnaise, and our dinner for tonight is done, my friends.
That's brilliant. It is one of our favourite dishes, and the way it came about in our house, we're not vegetarian, but we were having some vegetarian people over for dinner. So we were having a Mexican night, so I thought I would just make that. Yes. And it was the first time I'd ever had it, and the whole family loved it. So we serve it exactly how you do. We serve it with sour cream and corn chips and maybe a bit of guacamole. And if you've got a lot of people, then you could serve it with rice as well, just to make it a sort of pad it out for a bigger group as well. But I hope you enjoy it tonight. I
would definitely give it 10 out of 10. Definitely.
Excellent. Awesome.
First time we made it, it's absolutely delicious.
Fantastic. Well, bon appetit, my friend. Bon appetit. Now, who's Julie, your tarts out of the oven yet?
Come to me if you want, Michelle.
Olivia, beautiful.
I'm happy to go after.
So that pasta has cooked. Right now this is the 2.6 litre thermoserver, which is actually the gift with purchase if you purchase the machine in February. So just to show that as well. So all I did is chucked in the grated parmesan at the beginning, gave it a mix, and I'm just going to pour it here so you can see how I do it. Hopefully I spray everywhere. So everything's cooked there. Pasta already gets a little bit caught around there, but pasta's cooked in the sauce, and that can now sit in this thermoserver until, well, probably not for too much longer, because we'll eat, all of the kids and us will eat that for our dinner this evening.
Delicious. So just for those of you who don't know what a thermoserver is, it's an insulated dish that will keep that hot now for the next 2 hours. Now, Olivia has younger children, so they will probably eat earlier, whereas in my family, if I was making that now, I could let it sit there. They're a bit older now, so I could let it sit there for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and it would be hot when they come in. So it just means you can make dinner when you've got an opportunity, and then actually be sitting at the table and enjoying it with your family when it's time to serve it. They actually very rarely come up as a free gift with purchase. So this month it's we're pretty excited to be able to offer that along with that cookbook. You're going to do a live taste test? Actually, it's probably a bit hot. Don't do that. You'll burn yourself.
Looks pretty good. Yeah, I know, as I said, I've made this a few times before, and both the baby and the toddler demolish it, as do myself and my husband. And that's all the dishes I've got to do now. So I can pop that on pre-clean, and it will be pretty much cleaned by itself by the Thermomix. And yeah, as Michelle said, I could have made this earlier in the day and had it ready to go when I have an opportunity. So it's definitely a big plus in our household.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. It is on high rotation. I think in all of our houses that dish is on rotation. So it's a really, if you haven't tried it yet, I do recommend it to everybody. Enjoy your dinner tonight, Olivia. Thanks for presenting today. We're going to pop over to the gorgeous Julie now to have a look at these tarts.
Thank you. The tarts were so hot, but I managed to get them out. But here you go. I'm not going to tilt it too much in case, you know, I burn one. I slipped, they slip, but they're so delicious. I might try and take a bite just because I can't help myself. I even tried to sit it on ice so I could cool it and take a bite, but we'll see. These are so good and so simple. So please, if you haven't made them, do yourself a favor, make some.
You know what, Julie? I am making them this lockdown. I have not made them yet, and I do have all those ingredients. So
it's recipes that I always have. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Actually, I think previously when you've done the pastry, I've been doing stuff in the background, so I haven't watched. And now that I've seen how simple that is, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. We're going to pop over to the gorgeous Yolaine to have a look at her beautifully plated dip. Oh, look at that. Yolaine, love it. Did you make those crackers too? We can't hear you, sweetie.
Sorry, it's hard because the phone is upside down. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. There we go.
Wonderful. Okay, so yeah, the crackers that you will know, Michelle, of course, they're the gorgeous seeded cracker sheets from Toddler and Beyond on Cookidoo. They are simply amazing. So this will go very well with this dip. So part of it we are going to devour now, and half of it I'm actually going to use tonight to make a sort of filled stuffed chicken. So very simple. You just flatten a couple of chicken breast and then spread a generous amount of this lovely dip, bit of spinach, a little bit of crumbled feta. Roll it tightly in a Glad wrap, and then you steam it in the Varoma for about 25 minutes. You can cook some rice underneath at the same time. It is absolutely delicious. It's like a restaurant dinner. And a little thing that you can do as well is wrap your chicken breast with a little bit of prosciutto as well. So this is going to be tonight's dinner. And this recipe is also from the gift with purchase from this month, the
Everyday cooking for
Everyday cooking for Thermomix families. So
it is a mouthful, don't worry.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yolaine. I do love that dip. And the funny story about that dip is that it is actually in the original TM31 cookbook. And
it is. Yeah.
When they launched the new one and it wasn't in the cookbook, there was uproar. So the next book that came out was the Everyday Cooking for Thermomix Families, and they put that recipe back in. So that's definitely.
And that's why this cookbook is so good, I reckon, because it's full of pretty much everyone's favorites. So I think it's probably my favorite cookbook of all the Thermomix cookbooks.
Yeah, it's definitely high on the list for me too. Right, so I think we've seen everybody. I'm just coming back to me now.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, girls, and thanks for pulling that together so quickly. I just wanted to show you now. So I'm not, as I said, I didn't want to put it all together, but I've just put some of the salad. Now, I just want to say the recipe for the salad said spinach leaves. I didn't have spinach leaf, but I had mixed lettuce leaves. So I've just done that, and I've put the cabbage in with that. My daughter's actually asked me before, are you going to put noodles with that too, Mum? Now, I hadn't planned to tonight, but you could definitely put some like rice noodles, vermicelli noodles, something through it as well to make it even a bigger salad. But in my smaller bowl here, I'm just going to put a little bit of beef, not too much, I can share one with everybody else, and pour some of this dressing over the top. Ooh, better share that too. And of course, because we love a live taste test on this, I was going to say on this show, I think we think we're pros now. Actually, no, I'll be honest, we all went yesterday. Gosh, we haven't done one for a while. We're a bit nervous, and they were like, surely it's like riding a bike, and we'll just, you know, once we get on camera, we'll just know what we're doing. But I haven't made this before, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that at the start. So what we do try to do as consultants is challenge ourselves with new dishes each week. So you know, to always wow ourselves. So even after 8 years, I can wow myself. I've pretty much wowed myself with that cake, to be honest. But I'm going to taste this. That is really good. It's really zingy with the ginger. So good. Make this. I really recommend it. So that's so good. My mum's on today, and she's probably thinking, I'm sure I taught you not to speak with your mouth full. But anyway, here I am at 50 still doing it. So there's no hope for me, Mum. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. Thank you to the girls who pulled together, you know, some recipes and inviting us into your kitchen. We love this. Even regardless of what happens with lockdown, as a team, we have discussed that we would love to keep offering these probably twice a month. So we'd really be open to some feedback from you as to what you would like and what you'd like to see.
Sorry, we forgot Denise.
Oh, Denise, where are you? Oh my goodness.
Sorry, I just was waiting for a gap to say something, but there was no gap.
Sorry, that's why I jumped
yell out. You've got to yell out, Denise.
Oh, Michelle, it's, you know, it's very hard to find just like a space between two words for some people. So
hang on. Let's go back to your place quickly.
Okay. Alrighty, guys. So here's the au gratin. I just think that there's nothing better than a beautiful, you know, baked container of veggies that are all golden on the top. I've actually got a couple of little, you know, chives here, which I'll sprinkle over the top as well. And this is such a great dish to pre-cook because it reheats so well. So, you know, the veggies are really hearty, and this is what it, you know, it just looks like when you serve it. You can see all that beautiful mozzarella cheese all there as well. I'm just going to leave it in there until we eat later tonight. But yeah, I highly recommend this dish, and any kind of au gratin is beautiful, shows a lot of love for the people that you're cooking for. And happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Thank you, Denise. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
And the funny thing is, I'm actually really excited about that dish too. It's on my list. It's not one that I'd seen before. So it's on my list of ones that I'm going to make. So, that was good that it went back to you, because I actually had another sneaky mouthful of my salad there. Now, if anybody would like to stay on and ask me any questions, if you're interested in knowing more about our business opportunity, if you've just got some recipe questions, you just want to say g'day, if you want to purchase, just please hang on, stay on and have a chat with me. Or if you do want to purchase, obviously reach out to your consultant, because she can help you with that. But thank you so much for today. I really appreciate your company. It's exciting to be in this space again, to be able to add something positive in this crazy world that we're living in at the moment. But you know what? It's taught us we need to be dynamic, we can be reactive, and we can kind of just bring something good together for us and for you, hopefully. So thank you so much. Happy cooking, and we'll see you again soon.